that if you can control every one of the variables externally to an organism, you can control its behavior. So one of my favorite quotes from B.F. Skinner, who was a behavior psychologist from way back in the day, was the old saying is, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. He said, well, if you bleed it out enough and you starve it and you leave it in the sun and you put the water right in front of its mouth, he said, I can veritably guarantee that I can make it drink. And so if you were to think about yourself as that horse, then it's like, okay, well, what is the equivalent of the bloodletting, the dehydration, the starving that you can put yourself into to get the behavior you want? So starving has a negative connotation, but we can also starve out the negative things in your life. Like you can starve the alcohol, you can starve the porn, you can starve the friends. And I think the easiest way to do that is to get out of the environment you're in. Because like, I'm sure you heard about I think this was in Atomic Habits. In Vietnam, like I think it was like 10% of troops or something were taking heroin when they were over there in the 70s. And they thought there was going to be this massive problem when they came back to the States. But when they came back to the States, almost no one continued the heroin habit. And so going from Vietnam, where you're doing heroin, to the US, where you're not taking heroin, had a 90% success rate, whereas the inverse is true of recovery centers in the United States today. People go there and 90% of them relapse when they go back home. And so the difference is that people were doing heroin in a different environment, and then they changed their environment, and then they never went back to the environment that they did heroin in. And so it's like, if you have these behaviors that have cues from the people, the surroundings, the colleagues, family, whatever, I think even if you can't afford to move out of the state, like almost anybody can move across town, even 30 minutes away, to just make it a little bit more inconvenient for your drug dealer, for your bars that you know, for the friends to say, you know, hey, we're doing fantasy whatever on Friday. And it's like, I can't make it, right? You just make it inconvenient to do all the things that you don't want to do and make it more convenient to do the things that you do, and you'll do more of them.